Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and welcome to another episode of Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to sell effectively, open more doors, close more sales, and sell logically. And I'm here with my co-host, Mark Hunter. Morning, Mark.
Hey, good morning. It's great to see you. And you know what? We got another great topic, and we got some good stuff. Before the show, we were talking about all the stuff we've got coming up in the next few weeks on Sales Logic. So, hey, make sure you tell your friends, rate, review the show, and make sure you download it on your podcast.
Yeah, we got some good surprises coming up in the next couple of weeks. So let's go ahead and dive into today's show. I love the fact that we talk sales on Saturday, because if you are ever really going to be good at sales, sorry, I'm having some trouble with my camera this morning. If you are ever really going to be good at sales, you got to sell all the time. Now, this is the way the show works. If you have any questions, first of all, go ahead and pipe them right in here today. We will address them live. But if during the week you're thinking about sales logic and maybe a sales question you need answered, just go ahead and visit our website, saleslogicpodcast.com, saleslogicpodcast.com, or just put it out there on social media and hashtag sales logic. Each week we take your questions, answer them live right here on the show. We have a hot topic. We discuss a book that we think would really help you take your sales to the next level. And last but not least, we do a lightning round because we want you to get return on investment from investing your time in us. So Mark, what's on tap for today?
Well, on tap today, we got a great topic. The topic is how to work with purchasing departments. Oh, man. How many times have we all been thrust into that situation? We got a great question from Holly in Miami. I'll get to that in just a bit. We got a book we're going to talk about that I think really ties in with purchasing departments. And then we've got a lightning round, which is going to give you some fast tips and some fast ideas that you can run with right away. So, hey, let's go ahead and jump into Holly in Miami writes, when does it make sense to go over your buyer's head when they're not giving you the information you need? And let's not kid ourselves. We have all asked ourselves this question many, many times. So, Mary, jump in.
Yeah, this is a good question and really a tough one. Sorry, I keep having trouble with my camera. It's just slipping. It's just slipping this morning. I think number one is you better have exhausted all of your options. You better have built that relationship, had the meetings, done everything you can do. Make sure you have dotted every I, crossed every T. And I say you need to let that purchasing agent know that you're going over their head. Don't do it in secret.
I think that's so key. There's no need to do anything in secret. One of the techniques that I love to do, in fact, I'll probably talk about it in the lightning round, is you want to get as many names of other people. And when you're talking to somebody, say it's the purchasing department, and they mention other names, you want to immediately reach out to them and begin developing a relationship with them. Because, the old expression, you dig the hole before you need the water.
Yeah.
I mean, you create the relationship. So don't think for a moment, because if you're dealing with a purchasing department, chances are it's a bigger company. Chances are it's full of a lot of opportunities. So it's worth making that investment up front. So Holly, I kind of contend this, and this is going to be a little bit, where's he going? Hey, if you don't have any business with them and you're not getting anywhere, you don't have anything to lose. So just go ahead and go over their head. And I know that's going to shock some people, but you know what? Hey, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, I hate the expression "go over their head" because it sounds like we're doing something secretive. I like the idea of maybe trying an alternate route. And again, what I say is that it's that you're doing the work that you need to do, and you've exhausted the options with the purchasing department, and they're just not there. They just won't pull the trigger, and they won't make the decision. And I just let the purchasing department director know this has been a great conversation. I think I need to gather some more information. I need to gather some more ideas on how I could help you and how I could support you. You've mentioned some other people. I'm going to go ahead and have some conversations with them. Making the purchasing director feel a part of it, or the purchasing manager feel like you're not going over their head. You're going kind of with them to talk to other people.
See, and that's key what you said. You're gathering information. You're gathering other information. And that just comes across a lot differently than saying, I'm going over your head. You are a village idiot. No, you're not a village idiot. I'm just trying to get some more information. Respect the person. But I'll tell you what, don't allow yourself to be afraid to step out and reach somebody else if you need to.
Yeah, I would also say I really question ever starting with the purchasing department, even if you're told to start with the purchasing department, even if I'm directed to the purchasing department. That is not where I start the sale. I start the sale outside of the purchasing department.
With that, why don't we jump into the topic, how to work with purchasing departments? Because here's the whole thing. You never start with purchasing department. I find too many salespeople. This is what's funny. I'll get a call and they'll say, Mark, I can't seem to break into this company. And I say, well, who have you been talking to? Well, I've been talking to the purchasing department. Why? You never start with the purchasing department because what is their job? Their job is to take care of the transaction. Their job is not to uncover the need. That's what your job is. The top of the funnel is about uncovering the need, creating the opportunity. You're not going to get that from purchasing department. You've got to get that from who is the user, who is the person who really is going to be impacted by what you're selling. That's where you start.
Yeah, I also think that it's you have to understand that working with purchasing departments, when you have uncovered the need and it's time to pull the trigger and buy the product, what the purchasing department wants is very different than what the person you sold the product to wants. The purchasing department really is about not upsetting the apple cart, making it as seamless and easy as possible, saving money. So they have different needs. So the way you work with the purchasing department needs to be different than how you worked with the director that you sold the product to, because purchasing department a lot of times doesn't have a lot of vision outside of the purchasing department.
And without a doubt, they live in a very narrow world. And Meridith, you really hit on something. They have different needs. They have different objectives. And you want to uncover what are their objectives. One of the questions that I love asking somebody in purchasing, hey, what's the computer system you guys use? What's the system you use? And what are the main metrics that you use with regards to the supply chain? I love using the word supply chain because that's really what a purchasing agent does. They're managing the supply chain. So when I can begin to have a conversation with them regarding their language, regarding their information, their needs, you know what? They begin to see me as one of them. Now, here's something very interesting when it comes to price. You know, we say, well, purchasing agents, all they want to do is beat you up on price. Yes, they do. But here's something of very much interest. You are not the most difficult part of their day. The most difficult part of their day is when they have to go back and tell somebody else that they're not buying what they wanted because they're getting something cheaper. Now, here's what I found. If I can create enough of a need from the user, from the people who are going to benefit from it, then the purchasing department is just going to go along with it. Second thing is this. The purchasing department is not tasked with getting a lower price on what they're buying from you. No. They're tasked with getting a lower price overall on everything that they buy. In other words, they have got their quarterly standards, they've got their metrics, they've got their goals, they've got their objectives. And what I say is this, a purchasing agent will always focus in on the softest target. The softest target is where they will focus in. And if they see you are not flexing on price, if they see you're not flexing on this, but they know they need it, they'll go ahead and buy it. Quick story I'll share with you. I was doing a program on maximizing price. In the room happened to be the VP of procurement for a company. And if I mentioned the name, you would know it. Everyone would know it. And he had a number of purchasing agents, rather large, sophisticated buying department. He made the comment, he said, I tell all of my buyers, he says, if the salesperson can't deliver what they want me to buy with strong body language, strong voice, and eye contact, I know there's a discount. I know there's a discount to be had. And think about that for a moment. You see, purchasing departments, what do? They work with salespeople all the time. they know where the soft targets are, and they will pounce on the soft target in a heartbeat. So, hey, if that's the way you come across, guess what? You're going to be their lunch.
Yeah. I also think you need to realize that it is not in the purchasing department's best interest to make a change. So if you are selling new, like you're rocking their world, they now have to have new systems and new processes and enter a new vendor. So they're not in your corner cheering for you, right? Because if they already have me as a vendor, putting Mark in as a vendor is a hassle. So you need to, when working with the purchasing department, think about making it as easy as possible for them. How can you really, first of all, have empathy with the fact that you're a new vendor. They're going to need to make a change. There's going to be some extra work involved in them. But what's going to be the payoff for them? And how can you make that extra work as easy as possible?
That is so key, because the cost of conversion is always greater.
Yeah.
You come in, you say, oh, wow, we're 3 cents cheaper. We're two. Who cares? Because now they got to move one set of inventory out, set up another set of stocking numbers, set up another. The supply chain changes. And just as you said, they want to simplify things. So as a result, they're going to be why change? It's going to have to be a significant difference for them, or driven by somebody else saying, hey, this is what we need. Now, here's the advantage. Once you're in with the purchasing department, it does work in your favor, because remember, now they don't want to switch to go with somebody else just because somebody's a little bit cheaper. Don't think for a moment with purchasing departments that price is the absolute decision. No, It's not. Price is not. It's the total cost of ownership. And this is where I do credit. More and more purchasing agents are coming out of school with a degree in supply chain management, and the total cost of ownership, the entire supply chain, is factoring in more and more. So you may have a higher price, but you're able to ship in smaller quantities. You're able to provide better service. You're able to do X, Y, and Z better. Guess what? That's going to offset price. So don't think for a moment that purchasing agents are only dealing with price.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I think the biggest thing that salespeople need to understand when dealing with purchasing departments is, number one is, again, it's a different sale. And you need to go in there and think before you're dealing with the purchasing department that you need to see it from their perspective. One of the biggest mistakes I see salespeople make is, like, I've just spoken with the CEO of the company. The CEO of the company wants this. And I go down to purchasing, and purchasing is a little bit resistant because I'm a hassle. And I'm arrogant because the CEO already put their stamp of approval on me. Well, understand the purchasing department can either make this an easy transition, or they can make it a difficult transition. And all that's going to filter back up to the CEO is whether working with you was a good idea or not. So the moment that you stop selling to the CEO, start selling to the purchasing department. Be empathetic to what they're going through. Do as much of the heavy lifting as you can do, and be ridiculously responsive and ridiculously accommodating. Because once you get it through purchasing, just like Mark said, I mean, you're in there like glue. They don't want to change to another vendor. They may be a big hassle on the front end, but they're a huge advocate on the back end. Because once they get you in there, they don't want to lose you, because they don't want to do this again.
That's a huge piece. I want to come back and talk about this whole supply chain, because it's funny, because I'm working right now with a company that sells PPE, personal protection equipment. Of course, that's been in the news because of COVID, pandemic, and everything. And most of this comes out of China. And of course, everybody's trying to develop alternate sources. This company happens to be a manufacturer in Romania. Well, right here alone, this means that coming to the US, it comes through Eastern ports versus Western ports. Now, if you understand supply chain, you know that Western ports right now are very much congested. So this suddenly becomes an alternate source. You see, here's what this company's doing. This company's saying, how do we create opportunities in the supply chain that purchasing agents, that purchasing people, because this is truly a commodity, are going to embrace. This is what you want to find. There are so many goals, so many objectives, so many pieces of information that you can bring to the table beyond price. Because the other thing is stability. You see, what this company in Romania doesn't have going for them is that they've only been in business for 12 months. And there's a lot of large organizations, you're selling to big companies, we'll say, and they're going to sit there and say, we're not going to deal with a vendor that's only been in business for 12 months because we don't know if they're financially stable. What's their bond rating? What's their surety payments? What is the certainty that the supply chain is not going to be broken? Because again, right now, purchasing departments, purchasing agents are more in vogue than ever, because all you have to do is look around at all of the disruption in the supply chain in almost every good and service manufacturer.
I think that is so key. You know, Mark, I think the biggest message here, if I had to wrap it into one piece, is to say that understand that selling to the purchasing department is a different animal. And even if the deal is closed by the time you get to the purchasing department, realize you have one more sale to go. And you really need this group on your side and understand their motives, their objectives, and their goals are different than the rest of the organization. And if you can master selling to the purchasing department and you respect the fact that it is a second sale, you're going to put yourself in a position to really not only gain competitive advantage, but be successful for the long term with that company. Because if you make it easy once with the purchasing department, if you're going back in there for a second sale, they're going to be on your side and actually advocating for you. They're going to help you go deeper and sell wider with that company because you understand them and you made it easy for them.
And you just touched on something. Is this a one-off purchase or is this a continuous purchase? Because here's what I found. Purchasing departments, if what they're going to be buying from you is going to be a continuous purchase, you fall into a process. And it has got to follow that process because they're not going to deviate from it just for you. However, if what you're selling is a one-off item, we'll say it's a one-time service, it's a one-time thing, guess what? You can write the rules if you have enough support from outside. Because guess what? They face, purchasing departments face this issue all the time. You know, the CEO or the CTO or the CIO says, hey, we're going to buy this. And this is a one-time purchase. I don't care what you say. This is what we're going to do. The purchasing department says, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it. So if it's a one-time purchase, you do control if you have enough support from whoever it is that is championing you, that is going to be the user, the benefactor of what you sell.
I would agree with that. I would still say that I think that it's smart to acquiesce and be as accommodating as possible to the purchasing department. You know, here's one thing that we know as salespeople. We work with a lot of purchasing departments. If we sell into big enough companies, the chances that we're going to wind up in front of the purchasing department are pretty good. So you know what paperwork is required. You know what purchasing is going to ask you for. Go ahead, get it together, be prepared, and be proactive. Just an example, I was working with a purchasing department just last week, and I had made this sale to the VP of sales, sent me to the purchasing department, and I just reached out to the purchasing department before they reached out to me and said, typically when I work with purchasing departments, this is what they need from me. This is what they expect. Is this enough? Is there anything else you need? And I immediately had a connection with the head of purchasing because I was making her life so much easier.
And that's a good thing. Respect their paperwork. Most larger companies have got their vendor forms out there on the internet. I was speaking with a gentleman yesterday. They're a smaller company and they are totally paperless. And the company he was trying to get approval from said, what's your company policy regarding paper? And he says, we don't have one because we don't use paper, you know? So however he answered it, I mean, I was speaking with somebody else the other day. And again, it's a training company and it's like a 4 or 5 person company. And one of the questions on the form was, does your company provide lactation rooms for your employees?
Yeah.
He says, look, we're all virtual, but don't mock what they're asking you.
Yeah.
Because again, they've got their criteria, they've got their reasons. Just work with them and complete the forms.
Yeah. Mark, we better get to the book of the week.
The
What's
book.
up?
Are you ready? It is,
I am.
Selling to Big Companies by Jill Conrad. You and I both know Jill. She's a great friend of ours. She wrote this book probably about 10 years ago. And I'll tell you what, it is still just as relevant as ever today. Selling to big companies. What I like about this is it really helps break down all of the steps and all of the pieces that you have to go through. This is your go-to book. Pick it up. Jill Conrad, great friend. So anyway, I don't mean to run past. Hey, maybe you got a comment regarding the book.
I love that book. I've probably read it 3 times. To me, it has the staying power of how to win friends and influence people. Jill may have written it 10 years ago, but I think it's going to remain the rule book for probably the next 10 or 20 years. She just has very fundamental principles in there that if you follow, you are really going to position yourself to sell, not only sell to big companies, but sell really well and effectively to big companies.
Without a doubt. So, hey, with that, lightning round. Put your hands on the buzzer. Get ready. The lightning round is best practices for dealing with a purchasing department. Go.
Number 1, learn what proactively learn what the purchasing department needs. Be proactive in getting them information, forms, whatever it is that they need.
I'm going to build on that. Ask them what their supply chain process looks like. Ask them what their metrics are. Ask them what their objectives are.
Great. Understand that this is a different sale. So go in there ready to meet the needs of the purchasing department, not the needs of what your product or service sells overall for the company.
Don't hesitate to resist. They will focus in on the softest target. Just you don't want to be the softest target.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, we had one of our viewers write in and say confidence is key in sales, and it is so confident in dealing with the purchasing department. I would say to be accommodating, but as Mark just said, to a point. Don't be afraid to push back. If you accommodate on a few things and they're asking you for something that's ridiculous, don't be afraid to question it and push back just a little bit.
And when you accommodate, you don't have to be accommodating on price, accommodate on other things because they're looking at total cost of ownership, the entire supply chain.
Understand their goal is status quo, and anything that you can do to make moving and getting you on board as easy as possible without upsetting their apple cart, do that. Make it as easy as possible.
Respect them as individuals. You know, at the end of the day, they're just doing their job. Respect them for the job that they're being asked to do.
Understand they're a gatekeeper, that like it or not, they do hold quite a bit of power. Even if you get the sale to go through, you do not want purchasing to be your enemy.
Understand that many times purchasing agents have more contacts with other purchasing agents in other companies than they do inside their own company. Leverage them.
Get the person that you sold the product or service to do the handoff to the purchasing department, and preferably in an email or even in a 3-way phone call or something like that. The more that you have the person that you sold to stamp of approval and the purchasing department sees that, the easier it's going to be.
Never start with the purchasing department. Always start someplace else. Why don't you throw in one more and then we'll kind of close it down.
Okay, I would say that is again, be respectful and be helpful. Constantly be both of those things. Do not go in confident, overly confident, or with arrogance. Understand that you need this person on your side. If you sell the purchasing department, you're going to have a sale for a long time.
And I'm going to add to that: don't panic. Don't panic. Again, they put their pants on 2 legs at a time. two legs at a time. 1 leg at a time, just like you.
Well, no, they're the purchasing department. They may put it on 2 legs at a time.
Yeah, wow, that's weird. Hey, I want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right, we'll see you here next Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, with probably a little bit of a different look and maybe a couple of surprises. So you want to make sure to join us next week. Remember, send your questions to saleslogicpodcast and we will discuss them right here on Sales Logic. We'll see you next week.